In the previous chapter, Ken learned the reasons behind his selection for the cosmic reincarnation experiment. Mr. Beginning and Mr. End revealed Ken's life story, highlighting his dedication to scientific research, his selfless contributions to humanity, and the personal sacrifices he made. Moved by this revelation and the opportunity to make a difference in another world, Ken agreed to participate in the reincarnation adventure. Let's find out what remarkable experiences await Ken in the next chapter as he steps into his new existence. Chapter 5. Hex Devil. "Let's do it," Ken said, his voice a mixture of determination and anticipation. Both cosmic beings smiled, and Mr. End replied, "That's the spirit, dear Ken." The anticipation of Ken's much-needed moment of rebirth felt like a never-ending countdown to a new beginning. He felt a wonderful mix of curiosity and excitement at the idea of beginning again and embarking on a new life, which kindled a sense of wonder in him. He was eager to explore all the opportunities that lay ahead of him. Mr. Beginning smiled, sensing Ken's eagerness. His form shimmered with an otherworldly light, as if reflecting Ken's anticipation. Ken asked them, "So, how are we going to do this? Will I be reincarnated as a baby or an adult?" Mr. Beginning's soft but confident voice said, "It is quite simple, really. You will be reborn into a new body, young but not a newborn baby. You don't want to experience childbirth from the perspective of a child and poop in your pants, do you? We can arrange that if you want." After hearing that, Ken shuddered at the thought of being reincarnated as a newborn. "No, I'm good. A young body is fine," he replied hastily. Gazing upon Mr. Beginning, the creature in charge of his rebirth, Ken's heart burst with happiness. "What are the rules for reincarnation?" he could not help but ask. "How does it all work?" With some hesitation, Ken asked, "Will the original owner of the body die because of me?" "No," Mr. Beginning reassured him. "You will be born as you are, but you will awaken your memories as a young person, not a newborn baby. So there is no need to feel guilty." Ken turned to look at Mr. Beginning, his heart racing with impatient anticipation and his eyes glistening with curiosity, each a reflection of the excitement that shot through him like a bolt of opportunity. He questioned, "And what kind of hex abilities will I get in this new life?" with excitement in his voice. Mr. End stared at Ken and stopped smiling for a time before breaking another bubble, saying, "I apologize for busting your bubble. When you reincarnate, you will not acquire any hex abilities." His words were a sobering reminder that sometimes reality does not live up to our highest expectations or hopes, and that we have to accept things as they are. Ken's face fell slightly, his excitement dampened by this revelation. He had secretly hoped for some special powers. "Hex abilities take the fun out of it," continued Mr. Beginning. "We find that stories with all-powerful characters are quite dull. All-powerful characters often lack the intricate beauty of watching a character evolve as they navigate challenges, conquer obstacles, and ultimately earn their hard-fought victories through perseverance and self-discovery." Mr. N continued, "Yes, it's much more interesting to see a character grow and develop over time, to overcome challenges and obstacles, and to earn their victories." "I understand," Ken said thoughtfully. "It's about the journey, not just the destination. The struggles and triumphs along the way are what shape us, what make us who we are." Mr. End went on, "Yeah, for the main character to keep readers entertained, character development is necessary. It is uninteresting when the main character makes no effort to earn those things." Ken listened as he absorbed the information divulged by the two enigmatic beings before saying, "Okay, that means there are no hex abilities." Mr. Beginning grinned and remarked, "We didn't give the last two guys any abilities, and they reincarnated with default abilities. They didn't even get a single minor ability, but one got an introduction to each of us." Mr. End laughed hysterically and remarked, "It was entertaining seeing him struggle and curse us." Ah! Ken's eye twitched as he stood there, watching the two sadists relish in the misery of the person who had come before him. He couldn't help but wonder what fate awaited him. "And what about me?" Ken asked, a hint of apprehension in his voice. "Will I be cursing you too? or will I fare better than my predecessors? Mr. Beginning's form rippled with amusement. That, dear Ken, is entirely up to you. Your choices and your actions will determine your path. We merely set the stage. You're the one who must perform. The other guy did not even get to meet us, Mr. Beginning stated. Yeah, that guy is now called Fujin in his new world. He really went above and beyond. Even without any exceptional abilities, he trained himself to the extreme, Mr. N said with pride. Mr. Beginning then said with a smile, We did not meet him. We just dropped him in his new world. That devil did not receive any HEX ability. Yet he is killing it. We are really enjoying his take on that story. Ken wondered who this Suzuki Fujin guy might be, so as to put a smile on the faces of these two. This Suzuki Fujin, Ken mused aloud, must be quite something to impress beings like you. What makes his story so special? Mr. N's form pulsed with excitement. Ah, Fuja. He's a testament to human potential, Ken. Without any supernatural gifts, he's managed to reshape his world through sheer determination and ingenuity. It's quite inspiring, really. Ken said, So you have done this before. Hearing this, Mr. N snapped his finger, and from a nearby bubble, a spark of light came out, and he caught it in his palm without touching it. He then passed it to Mr. Beginning, and with a simple gesture, the spark of light emitted another bubble. Mr. N then said, Did you see what we did there? Ken guessed what just happened. It was a soul that found a new world. Just like that. Ken said, That was a soul, wasn't it? He thought for a second and then asked, But how come it was just a spark of light, and I have a body? Mr. Beginning replied, That's because we are allowing your imagination to run wild. Your imagination is the filter through which you are viewing everything. Mr. End went on, It is similar to a thought translation. These bubbles, and us both as well. We do not exist in the form that you are envisioning for us. We do not have a form, shape, or face to begin with. Although Ken appeared momentarily perplexed, he kept it to himself. So, what you're saying is, Ken began, trying to wrap his mind around the concept, that everything I'm seeing, everything I'm experiencing right now, is just my mind's interpretation of something far beyond my comprehension. Mr. Beginning nodded, or at least, Ken's perception of him nodded. Precisely. Your mind is creating a framework it can understand to process experiences that are, in reality, beyond human comprehension. Mr. Beginning then stated, Look at it this way. If someone draws a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional piece of paper and gives it to you, in what way will you perceive it? If my imagination is on point and I have a little bit of IQ, then I will see it as 3D, knowing it's just a representation on paper, was Ken's response after he finally grasped the concept. Mr. End asked him, But what if you see a higher dimensional being? How will you see it with your 3D imagination? I will reimagine him in 3D in my mind because I can only see in 3D, Ken said after giving it some thought. Exactly, Mr. Beginning said, his voice resonating with approval. Your mind is doing its best to make sense of something that exists beyond its normal parameters of understanding. It's quite remarkable, really, the adaptability of human consciousness. Ken felt a sense of awe wash over him. The implications of what they were saying were staggering. If this was just his mind's interpretation of reality, what was the true nature of existence? What did Mr. Beginning and Mr. End really look like? What did this void between worlds truly represent? I think I understand, Ken said slowly, his mind racing with possibilities. But if what I'm seeing isn't real, how can I trust anything about this experience? How do I know that the new life you're offering me is real? Ah, now you're asking the right questions, Ken. Reality, truth, existence. These are concepts that even we grapple with. But here's the thing. Just because something isn't real in the way you understand it doesn't mean it isn't true or meaningful. Mr. Beginning chimed in, his voice gentle but firm. The experiences you'll have, the choices you'll make, the impact you'll have on others. These things will be real, Ken. They'll shape you, challenge you, and change you. And in the end, isn't that what matters most? Ken nodded slowly, feeling a sense of peace settle over him. He might not fully understand the nature of his situation, but he knew that the journey ahead of him was important, regardless of its reality. Links to the other chapters are in description.